This episode has been brought to you by Fornos Law Firm, devoted to optimizing your legal results at fornoslaw.com.
Welcome to Pushrim Life After Injury podcast for April 23rd, 2013. Episode 26, Seating and Positioning with Christy Malonzo, PT, ATP. I'm Ray Pizarro.
I'm Richard Bell.
I'd like to welcome everyone for being part of the show once again, and brings me great pleasure to bring in a special guest that's going to be able to enlighten us on the world of seating and positioning. We all know how important it is to be sitting properly, our posture, and everything from pressure sores and things of that sort. So it's nice to have a little discussion and just see what it's like. And Christy is here, so welcome, Christy.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
So, Christy, tell us about this whole seating thing, because when I first got injured, I had no idea what was going on, and I think I got in a bad chair. But give us a little history if you can.
Okay. Well, essentially with seating and positioning, I've been doing it for about 14 years. It's not a common skill that all therapists have. So some therapists know a little bit about it, and every therapist really wants to help out their patient. But it truly is a specialized skill set that a physical therapist or an occupational therapist help to perform and help a patient understand, their sort of functional outcome as a result of their wheelchair. In the very, very beginning, everything's upside down. You're trying to cope with the fact that you just got injured, and now you're trying to cope with the fact that you need a wheelchair. And commonly what will happen is patients get wheelchairs, they don't understand any of the equipment, and they're being told by vendors or somebody, this is what you need to get. Yeah. And so they don't really understand what's out there and what's available. Truly in the beginning, what would be fantastic, which we don't do here, but it would be great if there were like loaner programs where you could go home in some form of a rigid frame chair, adjust a little bit, and then maybe 2-3 months out, then get your wheelchair. That would be great, but it doesn't really work that easily. I almost tell patients, if you can stand it, go home in like a hospital breezy so that you can go home and learn about equipment. So, and then don't wait too long, because then you'll end up with issues if you don't get proper seating. But essentially what needs to happen is, in the very beginning, you need to understand how you function within your wheelchair and how can we position you in a way that allows you to optimize your function, yet protects your skin, and then helps to prevent postural deformity that happens from malalignment of poor sitting positions. A lot of times, like for example, T4 injuries, or levels of injuries where their trunks are not innervated. What will happen is a person will learn that if they tilt their pelvis all the way backwards, jam it in the back of their wheelchair, that then they can stabilize themselves to be able to function. It's really important that you learn proper balance in the very beginning, so you don't have to learn some malaligned sitting position to try to manage your balance. You can learn balance in a proper seating position in the very, very beginning.
Oh, wow. I missed out on all of that.
Yeah, we skipped that class, man. Yeah. We had other things, issues like,
trying to stay alive.
Yeah.
Trying to get off the breathing machine and stuff.
See, this is why it's not fair to do seating when you're in that upside down to try to get, okay, here's your wheelchair, Mr. Bell.
But, but then we came to you, and I feel like, we're doing a lot better. So, tell us, what's out there.
What kind of different seating options are out there?
Yeah, definitely.
Because I know Ray and I are on different systems.
Yeah, you guys are. And I actually did both your systems. So what happens is by the time you get to me, I'm an outpatient physical therapist. So I'm at Precision Rehabilitation in Long Beach, California. And we take a look at patients' needs, how they learn to function within their seating systems, and, how do they manage chairs in and out of their cars or in their lives? What do they do? What are their roles in life? And then you try to help recommend systems. Often an experienced user will come to us and say, hey, this is the type of wheelchair I want. That happened with you, Ray. You came to us and you said, I want, this wheelchair.
Right.
And so we talked you through, some of the things that you had some specifics on your chair and how that would affect your life if we did, X, Y, or Z to your particular chair.
Right.
But as overall as a physical therapist, all of these chairs are customizable. I can develop any product into, for the most part, not always, into a chair that works for you. So then it's all about taking you, doing proper measurements and looking at your alignment, etc. With Richard, you were interested in some more orthotic seating. So we used a product called Ride Designs, and the custom orthotic seating really changed your whole world. It gave you stability.
Right.
It gave you pressure protection. What you can do with some of this custom orthotic seating is so different than what you can do with off-the-shelf product. So we use all of it. We use off-the-shelf product and we use custom orthotic seating. It really depends on what a patient has and what their goals are and what they need for their specifics.
And we all know every booty is not the same,
That
right?
is a fact.
We all have different, biological ways of wider hips, narrow hips.
Yeah, and I cannot lie. but with the ride system, I thought it was really interesting. Can you explain the process and getting fitted for one of those?
Sure. So a Ride custom orthotic seating system is essentially, first we have a patient come in for a physical therapy evaluation. We evaluate all aspects of your life, show you what the Ride cushion looks like, to give you an idea of what it looks like, and then show you like the custom orthotic back, the materials that it's made out of. So there are certain people that would not be appropriate for it, so we screen you to make sure that you'd be appropriate for this seating system. If you are, on the next visit, you come in, you see us with the vendor. We have a couple of vendors that are certified in the local area that we work with on the seating system. When you start to get involved with custom orthotic seating systems, it's really, really, really important to use vendors that have done a ton of it, that understand it. They're going to stand behind their product. Ride has a guaranteed fit that the vendor's willing to deal with what goes into custom orthotic seating. It is difficult to perform seating properly. So a lot of vendors, they might not want to do all the work that it takes to really ensure that the patient's properly set up and protected.
Right.
So once we do all of that and your insurance says yes, the next visit you come in, we take a shape, get you in it. We did this with you, Richard, and took a shape and
fun.
You sat, get you in the proper position, take pictures, really think about how your positioning is going to be and design your backrest on top of the cushion, align everything, get you balanced well. So
and they take a mold of your back and your butt. And so I had to tell them to break that mold after they were done. It's too sexy to hold in their warehouse.
Oh, no, we got his autograph and we have it hanging someplace.
Yeah.
So after that, and the Ride system is developed and built in Colorado, they ship it out and the vendor attaches the product onto your wheelchair. You come in, we take a look at your alignment within the product and then make sure there aren't any hot spots. So I don't think it's the kind of product you can just hand a patient and say, okay, good luck with that.
Because I had a little hot spot flare up and they just chiseled it or whatever. And
do they do pressure mapping of sorts, or that's all done in their offices where they kind of see after you get the cushion? Do they sit you there and then do they kind of how do they know they're having hot spots?
So what you do is when you first get the patient onto the product, you're taking a look at their sort of pelvic alignment in relation to their spinal alignment.
Okay.
Ride has a thing called they have like a little test that you do that you stick this foam product underneath the patient's ischial tuberosities. Okay. And if there's a depression into that foam, then it's called a gauge test. Then there's pressure.
Oh, gotcha.
So you can actually see the imprint of the ischial tuberosity bones if you were bottoming out in the bottom of that cushion. So we ensure that the patients aren't bottoming out. And then once we know that that's all good, I mean, you can do a lot of it by hand. Pressure mapping can help, but I feel like pressure mapping's a little bit overrated. Sorry to all those vendors that sell that stuff, but you really got to get your hands in there and just know, are the bony areas in a weight-bearing position? And then you have them sit for 30, 45 minutes.
Right.
And after you get the person off, the redness will tell whether or not it's case. So when you do a skin check, if the person has redness, you need to go after that spot. It's causing redness and ensure that your patient's protected. And then we educate people to be careful. Don't just go home and sit in it for 3 hours, do skin checks, make sure you're good the first couple of weeks, really follow up, sit in it a couple hours, get out of it, get in your old system.
And we all know that, not only having, a proper seating system set up, that's not that's not going to prevent you from pressure storage. You're still going to have to do your part in making sure you do proper pressure reliefs at at every 15, 20, 30 minutes or whatnot to stay healthy.
So many things go into pressure. I saw a world-class athlete just last night who is qualifying for Team USA in her sport, which is triathlon. And so here's somebody who's an athlete, does all this great stuff in exercise and nutrition, is super fit, and has pressure problems related to seating and positioning in her regular chair, seating and positioning in her sports products. Like, it's really important. We can take a look at all of that kind of thing, and we can help you problem solve. On sports equipment, there are, Ride does things very outside the box. You can really build all kinds of stuff to help protect people in their particular sports position. If you go to ridedesigns.com, you can take a look on their website at some of the stuff that they've done with athletes. I know the U.S. ski team, they've built all the buckets for the Olympic athletes, and so it's shaved seconds off their time.
Yeah, and the system is neat because I didn't understand it because it feels hard to the touch. Mm-hmm. The cushion is it's not cushiony like you would think a cushion should be, but somehow it seems like it suspends my bottom, and I don't have to worry, like I used to, about pressure relief. Mm-hmm. It just seems to, I don't know. I don't have any problems with that anymore.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I mean, you still should perform pressure reliefs and make sure you're doing some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But, the bony areas should be offloaded and you should be protected. And the reason it's a harder material is that's what's providing your postural support. Mm-hmm. In a foam product, the foam will give to your body weight. Same with air. Mm-hmm. Air has a lot of motion to it. Mm-hmm. So, sometimes air is the right product, and the Rojos should come up with a Quattro to try to help, increase stability on their product and then allow you to adjust it left to right and forwards to backwards. Yeah,
I have to say I really love the system. My posture seems better, and the sore I had, I had a sore when I got the system that was persistent. It just kind of stayed the same for 3 months. And I don't know if it was coincidence or not, but 3 days after I got the system, the sore was gone.
Oh, that's great. We actually hear that story quite often.
Oh, okay. So it's not just me.
No, I had a guy who was, he'd tried everything. He was on an alternating air cushion, and he was in a different custom orthotic shape that was made out of foam, and he was in, he had tried Rojos, and he had so many flap surgeries and just so many issues with him. It was crazy. So the case manager called and said, "What do you think? What can we do?" And so I told her about Ride. I told her, gosh, this guy's got such a history. I mean, I can't guarantee it, but it would be the next thing I'd recommend. And in his case, we did a whole complete system. We got a lot of great support out of Ride that really helped us problem solve and make something very, very different than their typical product. And in the end, the guy's wounds closed, and he was able to tolerate sitting because he was staying in bed. He couldn't tolerate sitting, and that's just terrible to not be able to get up.
Really debilitating. It stops your life from doing anything.
Yeah, and causes other health problems.
Yeah, mentally too. I mean,
the reality of it is if you're not properly positioned in your wheelchair, it affects all aspects of your life. So it can be from a wound perspective or a deformity perspective, but then you can get contractures and have all kinds of issues that maybe translate into your sports performance or your work environment. We have a physician right now who can't work from pressure problems. I mean, it's holding her from working. It's crazy.
Also, it's, your breathing, when you're slouching. And I notice when I'm like too far forward and I'm being lazy and not pushing myself up and sitting up as far, your breathing gets affected also, right?
Yeah, definitely. And not to mention all the orthopedic injuries from shoulders and head and neck and stuff like that.
Scoliosis.
I mean, it's common patients come in and they tell us, we have shoulder pain. I mean, if you're propelling a manual chair and you're doing functional mobility out of a manual chair, chances are at some point in your life you're going to experience shoulder pain.
Exactly.
I mean, that's just what the literature says. Mm-hmm. And so what you need to do is you need to start with ensuring that you are properly positioned and then do things that help you. In a wheelchair, as you're propelling your chair, you're always strengthening the anterior side, and your posterior side of you is getting lengthened and weaker. And so you need to balance that out. Work with a therapist that understands that and do things to protect yourself.
Yeah, me and Richard do some pushing up slanted hills backwards, to work on the whatever back muscles we still have. Yeah, work those out so we could throw our shoulders back a little bit.
Yeah, we roll those bows. But another unintended consequence is the weight reduction. because I had a J2 gel cushion that was just super heavy.
Yeah.
And I noticed that my load is a little lighter with the ride system. So really happy about that.
Yeah.
So the ride system, is that only the actual cushion, or does it have to be connected to the back also, like a certain custom back, or can it be just a cushion by itself?
Yeah, it depends on what a patient's needs are, but you can take the custom cushion and then utilize an off-the-shelf back product.
Oh, okay.
As a therapist, I'm always interested in positioning and support. So commonly I'm interested in patients to at least consider solid support. I know that some solid backs are bulky and have bulky hardware, so there's products on the market that are better than others. Some, I can tell you about all of them, and you can sort of make a choice as to what works. In the end, if there's something about the person's life where they just can't either lift it or, having a solid backrest would impair their function, well, obviously function is the most important thing. So.
Yeah, well, because I had a Jetstream, which is super light. It's a nice back. But Ray couldn't use it because there was no lateral support.
No, there's no stability for it.
And that's
it kept falling to the side.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And that's the lovely thing about the ride system. They do a mold of your back, too.
Right.
And create a backrest that kind of hugs you in there.
Contour.
Gives you contour,
lateral support.
Lateral
it gives you lateral support without having like these huge nasty laterals that stick out.
Well, and a nice thing too is from the front when you're in a ride system that's done properly, it's sort of the wheelchair sort of disappears. So you can't see like I'm looking at you right now. I don't see your lateral supports.
Yeah, exactly.
They're tucked in there underneath your,
Right, and that's what it's about. These days, less chair is best for us. We want people to look at us and kind of look at us instead of seeing the chair first and then seeing us that's what we try to kind of promote.
The reality of it is too, as a person that's looking for a new wheelchair, what I'd really want is not only to work with your vendor on that new chair, but to also make sure you see a therapist who has, sort of education and a specialty in wheelchair seating. Because what happens is you get this product and you're stuck with it. So, just recently, a guy came down from Northern California. He was interested in our bionic leg program. So he came down to get evaluated for that. And when he was in our clinic, he had this brand new shiny chair and it was measured terrible. And he's, a T12, real strong on his upper body, good, muscle build on the top part of him. And he couldn't transfer in and out of the chair. The front end was sticking way out. The chair was too wide. And from a functional standpoint, that chair is really going to limit him. And it's a brand new product. Like I asked him, when did you get this? He's like, a week ago. And I'm like,
no, you're stuck for another 3 or 4 years.
This poor guy.
5 years.
It's so hard. And it happens. We see patients that will come to us and their chairs are like less than a year old and they're having all these problems. There are some specialty instances where you can fight with the insurance company about the measurement of the chair. But, the vendor who provided this guy's chair probably thought he was doing a good job, but he didn't really take into consideration the fact that you don't want your feet 6 inches out in front of you.
It's a big headache, yeah. And, millimeters, quarter inches make a huge deal. A lot of people don't know that these little slight adjustments and thing go a long way in getting set up properly, right?
And manual wheelchair seating, honestly, is probably one of the most complicated thing in seating and positioning. Everybody thinks, it's super simple, but you have to. Who
thinks that?
Oh, I've heard it so many times, I tell you. But the reality of it is that, it's not all about always positioning every single person the same way. Different people have different balance issues and different heights and leg lengths and, functional capabilities. And so you have to consider all of that as you design a chair. I don't think I've ever had 2 chairs that are the same. I don't take everybody and say, you need 4 inches of bucket and that's how it's going to be.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very specific to that person's needs and their positioning and their capabilities.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, wow, that's quite a, mouthful of information there that I'm glad you were able to share with our audience. And right now we're getting close to wrapping up, but any certain place people could find you or your website?
Definitely.
Precision Rehab.
We are Precision Rehabilitation. Our website is precisionrehabilitation.com. You can find us. We're in Long Beach, California. Phone number is 562-988-3570.
Yeah. So if you're in the local, Long Beach area, near Long Beach,
or LA area,
we pretty much have people drive in from everybody. My furthest commute to get a wheelchair seating system for us was from Italy.
Wow.
So people come in all the time. We've done a ton of people from Northern California.
I thought I was coming from far.
Yeah, you're from Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep up that great work, Christy.
Thank
That's
you.
so good. I'm always, letting people know about the place, and, I haven't had issues since I had my chair, and I like to say I could work more on positioning. So maybe at a later time, if my body changes or something, I could come in and get set up in a different system. But so far, so good.
I know you want the ride system.
It's pretty tempting, bro. It's pretty tempting now that I heard all the good stuff. So, Rich, anywhere they could find us here as we wrap up.
You're probably watching this on YouTube, and if you are, subscribe. If you aren't, it's Club Pushroom. That's all you have to type in the search bar to find us. And also www.pushroom.com.
That's right. And also iTunes. Check us out. Take us on the go when you're working out, going out for a push or a stroll. Feel free to put us in your ear. And, we do this for you guys to share our experiences and let people know there is life after injury. It's not over. It's just a matter of figuring things out and getting set up with the proper equipment and moving on with life. So with that, we leave you. And once again, thanks a lot, Christy, for being with us. And we'll have you again on a future date to talk about other cool topips that affect all of us. So.
Sounds great.
Yeah,
Love to
thanks,
help out.
Christy. And then, next time we'll take you to get something to eat.
Yeah. That's to come.
They're closed today.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Unfortunately.
That's okay.
So with that, we'll leave you guys. And once again, thanks for being with us. Till next time. Peace out.
Thank you.
Later, guys.
Hi.